We can see that the numbers are increasing. We're just waiting for a few more minutes and then we'll get started with our webinar.
Great. For those of you who have joined already, can you just use the chat box to tell us if you are a student, if yes, which grade are you in, if you are a teacher, a counselor. If you could just use the chat box to tell us that, we would know you better. Great. Professor Diwakar is also here. A very good evening, sir. Thank you so much for taking out the time to join us today. We've been eagerly waiting for you.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much.
Great. So we were just interacting with our audience as we see the numbers increasing. I was trying to ask them if they could tell us if they're students, which grades are they in, what brings them here, so that we can, accordingly focus on those elements while we are going ahead with the webinar.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Great. We have some responses. Hello, Savya. Thank you so much for joining in.
I'll just take a minute to rejoin. I'm facing some kind of lag. I'll just be joining in a minute. Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, rest of you have joined in right now. Can you please use the chat box to tell us if you're a student, or are you a college student or a school student, what grade you are in, what brings you here? Great. Till the time all of you are typing, so all of us have today gathered here for, I would say, a much awaited career to be discussed on, because to be very frank, as a career coach, and my other colleagues here would agree, we know that as time is passing in the last decade, mass communication, journalism, mass media, some career domains which have really became very popular among students, more and more students wanting to pursue these careers, looking at specializations, wanting to know more about it, right? And a lot of times, because we keep holding a lot of sessions, and a lot of times students have been waiting for a session, a webinar on mass media and communication. So here we are for that. And we also have an esteemed panelist from Jagran Lakecity University, Professor Diwakar, with us for the same today. So we'll just wait for Tanishta to join back before we move ahead. But okay. Sir, is there some issue that you're facing with the audio? Oh, sure. Sorry, please go ahead. Great. So we'll wait for Sir to rejoin before we begin with the introduction and the panel discussion as well. Till the time, thank you so much, all of you who have responded in the chat box and have told us what you're studying. So some of you are already college students. Great. Mass communication being also a career which you could pursue even after your graduation. That's the best path. So if you're looking forward to it, we'll tell you those options as well. Good evening, Divya. Great, you're just in 9th and you're here. Thank you so much. I'm really, I would like to appreciate for you to taking out the time and making that effort to explore careers from just grade 9th, right? Some of your are, school students, 11th. Oh, we also have students of masters. Great, amazing, great. Okay, is sir here? Not yet. Okay, great. Rest of you, could you please use the chat box to further, tell us where you're from. Also, I have another question for all of you till the time sir joins. Uh, the moment we say mass media, mass communication, right, what comes to your mind? Because this is a question I've asked multiple times to students of different grades, and believe me, the answers have been more interesting than I could think or imagine. So I want all of you today who have joined us to, just give it a thought, or rather, I'll put it the other way. Don't give it a lot of thought and tell us what is the first thing which comes to your mind when we say mass communication, when we say mass media, or when we say journalism. Quickly, you just need to write in the words, the phrases which come to your mind. It doesn't have to be a perfect definition. It doesn't have to be even complete sentences. That's completely okay. TV anchor. Thank you so much, Savia. Oh, of course, we cannot forget about TV anchors, because the moment we say journalism, mass media, that is one of the first things which comes in our mind, and that's very, very true. But believe me, students, that when we are talking about a field like mass media, mass communication, TV anchor, or being a TV anchor, or pursuing a career as a TV anchor, is just one part of it. The field in itself is huge, and there is so much more that you can do with it, right? Okay, being an actor or the actress, so the film side of mass media, because we also know that a lot of times there are a lot of students who eventually start with mass media, but we have special interest in filmmaking or acting, and eventually they shift into fields like acting or filmmaking through the mass media base, because a lot of skills there are common and you can actually use your knowledge to take it further. Great. Divya says communication. Yes, mass communication is in itself a branch under mass media. It's the larger domain under which there are a lot of different domains. So yes, communication is also a part of it. What else? Anything else? So we think of TV anchors, we think of actresses, actoring, we think of communication. Apart from that, there's also mass media, right? So there's mass communication and there's mass media we are talking about. Again, overlapping, related, but yet different domains, right? What else? There are even a lot of new age careers, areas like, say, you want to go in the field of public relations, right? That in itself could be a field, that in itself could be an area you could explore or work in, with the base and knowledge of mass communication and mass media, right? So that's also a field you could explore with mass media. What else? We can keep adding to the list, and we can keep going forward and discussing that. What else? Journalism, I am sure, comes to the minds of all of you, but you know what, students, a lot of times you have this misconception that mass media, mass communication is only about journalism, but believe me, journalism is one element under the bigger umbrella, and there is so much more you can do with the entire field, right? And I think nobody better than Professor Diwakar could help us understanding that, and answering all our questions when it comes to everything around mass media, journalism, mass communication. Thank you so much, sir. Great. So, Tanishta, we can start with the formal introduction and move ahead with the panel discussion.
Yes, definitely, ma'am, definitely. And thank you everyone for joining in this webinar. So the topic of our webinar is telling the story, exploring the careers in mass communication and journalism, right? So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Professor Diwakar Shukla to all of you. So as we know that Professor Diwakar Shukla is with us from Jagran, Jagran University, and Professor Diwakar Shukla has more than 2 decades of experience in the field of social and brand communication, new media technologies, and corporate social responsibility with various premier organizations like World Bank, Netherlands Embassy, along with over 14 years at world's largest communication organization, Ogilvy. He is also a member of the core team by UNICEF for updating its syllabus and social and behavior change communication. He holds a master's degree in economics with a specialization in development economics, public finance, and international economics. Currently, he is the professor and dean faculty of journalism and creative studies. He also leads the advancement and international affairs at Jagran Lakecity University, Bhopal. He teaches communication for development, consumer behavior, development journalism, advertising, and digital storytelling. Thank you so much for joining in, sir, today.
Thank you so much, Tanishta. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We also have Miss Sana Jamal with us, who is our moderator for our day, and she'll moderate the entire webinar for us. Sana ma'am is a senior career coach at Mindler and a soft skills trainer who has guided and trained hundreds of students and teachers across India. She holds a UG and PG degree in psychology from Lady Shri Ram College for Women and University of Delhi, respectively. Sana has always been passionate about psychology and education. Her skills, her ability, and her knowledge has always helped her to guide hundreds of students to make informed career decisions and find their career fits. So thank you so much, Sana, for joining us.
Thank you,
And
Tanishta.
without any further ado, I would like to just hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Tanishta, for that generous introduction. And once again, thank you everybody for joining in, and a special thanks to our panelist, Professor Diwakar, for being here. So, sir, without any further ado, I think our audience has been waiting to know a lot more about the entire field. And while you got disconnected, I was talking to them and discussing them, and I asked them, what is the first thing which comes to their mind when we talk about mass communication? And like always, some of the responses were like being a TV anchor, or going in journalism, and something like going into acting. And we were just discussing how the field could be much wider than just these elements, and you are the best person to elaborate on that. So the very first question which I would want to pose on behalf of everybody here is how in the last decade and in the last few years the entire domain field of mass communication, mass media, journalism has evolved, and where do you see it going in the future?
Great, Sana. Thank you so much for having me on this webinar. I have always maintained, whenever I have been part of any seminars or webinars with Mindler, it has been such an amazing, experience for me always. And this is something I say it not just because, you guys are absolutely fabulous, but I say it because one, as a Mindler and as a facilitating educational body platform, you are very unbiased. You are able to give the right information, messages, and communication to any of the students in any fields for that matter. So I love this unbiased, way of conducting things, and I've always enjoyed, being with all of you. Having said that, I think your question is absolutely pertinent, and for all the students and some of the mentors maybe here as a part of this webinar, the world of mass communication has changed completely, honestly. Interestingly, that you asked them what comes to your mind when you talk of mass communication. Many of them said anchors or acting and those things. Yes, they are all maybe part of mass communication in a larger way. But mass communication, if you look at it from a bird's eye view, like if you are an eagle, for example, and if you take a view on the earth and say it is mass communication, what would you see? You'd see diverse things as a part of mass communication. It would definitely include journalism. It would include advertising. It would include design. It would include events, entertainments. It would include brands. It would include radio. It would include TV, digital platforms, social media, you name it, gaming, artificial intelligence, Gaming is a very big area, fashion designing. So you name it, and it's all under the big umbrella of mass communication, right? The world has changed completely. And now why the world has changed, one has to go back. And I think I would say one more thing to all the students out here. The moment you think of mass communication, and tomorrow if somebody else puts a question to you, what comes to your mind when you talk of mass communication? Step back and think of where the world is right now. And the world is absolutely in a fluid state. It was always, but today, if you see, the world is absolutely in a fluid state. Why has that happened? Because you have creativity and technology which has converged. So today, when you play a video game, you're not just playing a video game as in a silo. You're playing on a 2D, 3D, or 7D as well. You're playing a video game where multiple strangers can also join in case if it is an open platform. So you can very well imagine what's happening to the world of mass communication. It has become more technology oriented. It has become extremely engaging and extremely immersive, as you talk of. But at the same time, because the topic of the webinar itself was a storytelling part of it, the few things have not changed when you talk of mass communication. What has not changed is a human-to-human connection. What has not changed is what messages that you want to give it to the world. Say, for example, if you're a filmmaker, and you want to tell the world a story in a form of a film, that purity of story has to be there. Now think of it, which are the best movies or animation movies that you like the most? The ones which actually connects and immerses you internally as part of that particular story. You feel that you're part of the story. So again, the whole point is the basics of communication, which used to exist when the man was and humans were living in a caves. They were drawing, with pens, with what you call, the stones, everything on the walls of the caves. So the basic elements of storytelling, the basic elements of communication between people to people have still been, has still been around as of now. Yes, the platforms have changed because of technology. So a lot has changed in the world and continues to change, as I said it, because of technology and creativity. And I think these are the aspects which are putting on one side huge challenges on the space of mass communication. Other side, it is opening up a new possibilities for you. It is opening up a new opportunities for you. That's the reason I see for the students, for example, in the university that I teach, I see students every year, more number of students joining mass communication programs. I see brightest of the minds coming as part of the undergraduate programs or master's program or even the doctoral programs. And these are the people who want to out there, who want to enjoy. They want to learn as much. And at the same time, somewhere in their heads, they do want to make a huge definitive change in the world through the communication. In fact, interestingly, before Sana puts up another question, they say this is just a saying. They say that the biggest problems of the world are not going to be only solved because you have technology that to give a solution to it. Biggest problems of the world are going to be solved through communication. Understand that. Now, step back and see the newspaper which would come out tomorrow, what has come out today, or see the television today, the news I'm talking about. And you see that the local news is under siege. You'll see the biggest negotiations happening between country to country is not about technology. It is not about anything else. It is all about communication and getting everybody on the same page. So I think communication and mass communication in a general way and journalism in a specific way are extremely important areas to study and build a career in. And by the way, before even we reach the end of the webinar, this is one area as far as career is concerned, which is not going to go out of fashion. Whether you have pandemic, don't have pandemic, this area continues to grow, and the salaries, things, everything comes out in this particular area. So it's a fluid world, it's a shifting world, but I think mass communication is playing a very, very stable and a definitive role in the entire domain of changes that are happening in the world.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. So I could completely understand that the field is transforming, yet it's always going to be there and also evolving in new ways. And while we were talking about it, I'm more curious to now know that, apart from skills like storytelling and very essential skills like communication, being very important and pillars of being able to excel in domains like mass communication, what are some of the other skills and qualities which the students or any student who's aspiring to pursue a career in mass communication to focus on working on, and how the use of technology and or things like data analytics or artificial intelligence, how important is that, and what students right now can do it? Like, does everybody who wants to excel in mass communication know need to be a technology geek or need to be great at it? So where does the balance come? Where does the blend come? And what skills they can work on?
Okay, so there are, Sana, there are different factors that contribute to the career growth and to personal success. If you look at it, whether it is education or training, whether it is the length and breadth of experience that people may have, whether it is the networking and the connections that people want to make. These are all elements that build up a career, which are the skills in the today's world that you see. And this is exactly what World Economic Forum also tells all the students in the world. But I rate tenacity as the ultimate skill when it really matters. Tenacity is nothing else but this will to succeed, will to make an impact. I think that is a very, very important factor, I feel, in growth and careers. Whether you are in class 9th or 10th or 11th or 12th, or even you are in the stage where you're working with organizations. So tenacity, I rate, is number one skill in the world of today. And obviously, this comes through, and if you have to translate this tenacity, it essentially means the determination and perseverance. It is a grit that we talk about. If I have to take a parallel, see what happens on the sporting field. When you see many of you would be, kind of a fans of football or cricket, for that matter, or athletics. You see how the champions, prepare themselves. Any name that comes to your mind from a sporting, area, and you think of a champion there, any champion, whether a girl or a boy, why are these champions actually become a champion? One of the things is that they envision success very, very well. They're able to visualize what they're going to do at a point of time. So the World Cup of cricket is coming, right? Many of you may be, followers of cricket. The World Cup is coming up. Now there will be champions of the cricket in the world who will be preparing themselves very well and visualizing that I need to be there as a champion. So I think determination and perseverance and grit is very, very important. And that is something I feel are critical. Coming back to the mass communication, I think what is absolutely important for anyone who wants to pursue mass communication, journalism, advertising tomorrow, one has to be obviously enjoy that particular area. So it's very normal. Any discipline that you want to pick up, any career you want to be, you need to enjoy that. With mass communication, I think it is particularly even more important. You need to ask yourself whether you enjoy the space of mass communication, whether you enjoy the space of creating new things, creating messages, creating new media assets, for example. Do you enjoy creating an animation and then putting up a story behind it and showing it to the world? Do you enjoy speaking about news? Do you enjoy utilizing your skills of communication, studying it very well, and then persuading somebody in a particular manner? So one part is obviously whether you enjoy that. That's number one, very, very important thing. Number two, I think what is very important for everyone to be aware of is that you need to be extremely sensitive. Now, everybody has to be sensitive. There's nothing very new about mass communication. But when I say sensitivity out here, you need to be very, very clear who you are communicating to. I mean, do you want to be a good singer and say, oh, I'm a great singer, I want to sing for myself? Yeah, of course you can do it. You can enjoy it. We all do it. But if you really want to pick this up as a career, then you need to be singing for others. If you want to be a public speaker, if you want to be using the advertising and creativity and filmmaking, then you need to be making films for others, right? Now, imagine a situation where there was a big filmmaker who was making film for himself or herself. Does it matter? That's not a career. That's a great hobby and enjoying yourself. So one of the things that you need to definitely inculcate and develop is whether you can understand the audiences for whom you're going to communicate to. And this ability, we all have it. We all have it. God has given us a creativity in our heads. And if you, at some point of time, I'm sure that through Mindler, we'll do a small workshop maybe, where I'll explain to you how behaviors actually happen. How does a brain actually behave in a particular manner? With communication and mass communication, it is very important because a brain is actually wired to tell stories, wired to understand stories. So if you have a great ability of being curious, you have a great ability of being sensitive and and what you call, enjoy that particular area, if you have a great capacity of taking steps and knowing what the world is and where exactly the, what you call, the edges are, I think you are in a great space to build yourself in a communication space. I'll clear one more thing for many of the students. They do ask me when they want to get into it. Many people think that to get into mass communication, you need to be overt. You need to be speaking a lot. That's untrue. That's absolutely untrue. Any Anybody who is completely overt in terms of behavior and expression is perfectly fine. But even if you're a quiet person who does not want to speak so much many times, you are still qualified to be an excellent mass communication professional in the years to come. You have ability of thinking, you have ability of creating, you have ability of writing. I think those are very important skills. Last skill, which is absolutely non-negotiable when it comes to mass communication, is your ability and enjoyment of reading anything under the sun, your ability of writing, and your ability of listening to people. And I think these are this writing, reading skill part of it is absolutely non-negotiable. Because if you can't read, if you can't write well, if you can't hear people very well, how can you be a good communication? And that's where I feel are critical for anybody who wants to get into the general space of mass communication.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. I was just trying to note down the list of skills, and that was amazing. Great. I'm sure all the students and every attending, you've noted down the important skills you could start brushing and working on, because we know skill development in itself is a process. So these are the skills which sir has very nicely put it for us if you want to pursue a career in mass media, mass communication. Now I'm sure now we know about this domain, and we have a generic idea about what all things can we explore, what skills we require. We would want to know more about the degrees available, the eligibility criteria, what can one do, after 12th, or if one wants to pursue it later, right? And I would want Professor Diwakar to throw some more light on the kind of course and curriculum, and what kind of opportunities does the Jagran Lakecity University have when it comes to the Department of Mass Media?
So I would talk in a general sense, but yes, my examples, as Sana, you rightly said, I would take it from the Faculty of Journalism and Creative Studies at Jagran Lakecity University. But to be very honest, many of the degrees are available anywhere. Uh, uh, so if I can just use example of where I come from. So Faculty of Journalism and Creative Studies essentially at Jagran Lakecity University is made up of three very important flagship schools. One of them is a School of Journalism and Communication, which has degrees like undergraduate degrees like Bachelor of Journalism and Mass Communication, which focuses intensively on multimedia journalism and communication and storytelling. And it's a very, very important area. There's so many number of jobs which are coming up. I mean, at times we feel, all of you as students, you're living in such an exciting space and exciting time of life. I wish I go back to the school and I can rebuild my own career even better, because there's so many opportunities available. So journalism and mass communication is one degree which you can join. There's another degree for people who are interested in the world of brands, for communication and advertising, public relations, brands. Is a degree is called BBA in advertising and public relations. That's a very fast growing degree. We have many students who are doing absolutely amazing work in year one itself. So that's another degree that we work with under the journalism and mass communication. At the postgraduate, again, you have a degrees in MA in advertising and public relations, MA in multimedia journalism. So those are the spaces that you can work in when it comes to undergraduate degree. And I think these degrees are important and are deep enough for you to get the basics of mass communication in place. And of course, if you want to specialize in journalism, you can very well do it. If you want to specialize in advertising, you can do it. There's another degree which we work with very closely is with the School of Entertainment and Events. Now, what we have done is at Jagran Lakecity University, we have got, and many of you would have heard this name, Viscraft. Viscraft essentially is the world's biggest experiential and entertainment organization. You all know about IFI Awards. You all know about, for Delhi, for people who are in Delhi would know about that MotoGP is going to happen. You all know about the G20 summit recently happened. All those biggest events are managed and done by Viscraft. So Viscraft is a partner to us, and all our students who are studying for the events entertainment degree, they do a BB entertainment event degree. And it's a 3-year program. Now with National Education Policy, there's a 4th-year provision as well. So all the students get a lot of internships and work as they study. That way you can get a lot of experiences. Then we have a School of Design, where you have all kind of design degrees at the undergraduate level. One of them is Bachelor of Design in UX and UI. That's a big area. You have Bachelor of Design in Graphic Design. You have Bachelor of Design in Fashion Communication, because that's again is growing very, very huge. You have a Bachelor of Animation Film Design, because the world of animation and films is converging because of technology. So a lot of students are coming into design areas. And now design on a base level is common. So what we do is in the first year, which is a foundation year, every student stays for the basic foundation courses. But from second year onwards, they start specializing in animation or films or UX or graphic design, whatever they want to do. So those are the degrees which we work with, and they are altogether about 12 to 14 undergraduate and postgraduate degrees that we work. And many of these degrees are available worldwide as well. Good part is with us is that we have some amazing international university as partners. So there's a University of Arts London, which is, if you go on the net, you will find out it's one of the topmost creative universities in London. And we work with them very closely, which means their professors teach our students, we teach their students. Which means our students get to go to the summer schools. Recently, many of our students just came back after the summer schools. Many of them study for the entire semester there, because London happens to be the hub of mass communication. So those are the places where we work with. You have University of Lincoln, you have University of Birmingham City University. We have what we call as a Universidad Camilo Jose, which is a Madrid-based university. Again, extremely good when it comes to transmedia storytelling and journalism. So these are the degrees. So content can be anywhere. Any degree, any university can teach you, give you degrees and teach you. What is critical, and I think I go back to what Sana very clearly asked me right in the beginning, what differentiates mass communication from any other degree, for that matter, any other career or discipline? It's this ability to do hands-on work. I think if you do not do that, then I think it becomes just a theoretical connect. And the moment you hit the world, you start working in the world, you realize, oh, I just know the theories. I don't know how to actually deploy those theories in the real world. Because remember what I said, mass communication essentially definitely builds your career very, very well. It gives you everything which your parents would tell you. You need to have a great position, you need to have a great salary, everything is fun. It gives you a huge amount of fun because you're doing a wonderful work. But base of it is that you're impacting the world. You're changing the way the world behaves. You're changing the way the world lives. You're changing the world, the way the world connects to each other. I think these are the ways and the degrees which, at least for us at Jagran Lakecity, we offer. And at some point of time, if anybody is interested, you can always reach out to me through Mindler, and I'd love to support you.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. And I would surely want to come back to the application part of the mass media and journalism domain. But before that, it would be great if you could throw some more light on the entire admission process for our audience and students, especially focusing on the undergrad admissions. That is there a prerequisite? What's the process like? Is there a requirement of a portfolio? Because a lot of times students, knowing it's an application-based degree. So what do they require to secure an admission?
So one of them definitely is that, at your class 12th level, you should study well and stay focused. Why I say so is, and I'm not only talking in terms of marks. Of course, marks are important for everyone at every stage. But to be very honest, as a university, we are aware, and many of the global best universities are also doing the same. If you get 80%, 90%, 100% marks, that does not necessarily mean that you'll get admission at JLU. And I'll tell you why I'm saying so. The point is that, do you really want to pursue mass communication? If you're really passionate and you have, say, for example, only 60%. I have students who have got 57% and I have taken them up as a part of my student. And they've gone on to really rule the world by doing some absolutely outstanding work. So I wanted to get this thing very, very clear. Of course, there is a cutoff. There is definitely, we keep about 55 to 60% marks, we keep it. But believe me, if you get lesser marks, but if you have a great conviction that you want to pursue mass communication at JLU, please do apply. There is always a chance that when you come through and you meet up with us as a part of entrance interviews, you would get into the program, because we are very sensitive and very open to fact that The numbers or the grades at class 12th is not the only defining factor which should break and make your career. So that's number one I want to make it clear. Yes, as you're right. When it comes to advertising and journalism programs, mass communication programs, we do not have an entrance. What we do is you apply for it, which is a very simple process. You go on the website, you reach out to our admission officers, and you apply for that. Once you apply for that, there's a panel of associate professors who just meet up with you, either virtually or in person, depending wherever you're based. And we speak to you. We have about 10, 15, 20 minutes of a chat that we do with you. And let me just qualify myself saying they are not at all interviews, because what would I do with the interviews of in 15 minutes of a class 12 students? I'm not going to judge you on your journalism skills. I'm not going to judge you on your brand management skills. I'm going to judge you on your conviction. I'm going to judge you whether you are really passionate about what you do. And I'm going to judge you whether you have a great sense of fun around what you're going to get into. And that is the kind of an interview or chat that we do. And then you get into the program. For all the design programs, you have to have, of course, the same process is followed. But during that particular conversation or the chat or the interview, you need to have a basic portfolio in place. Now, do not worry if you do not have a very well-defined portfolio. I know in class 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, many of you do so many things. You take pictures, you draw, you create illustrations, you make short films, you do so many things. I've seen in class 9th and 12th students doing it. Please just capture it together, get it in one place, and try to put it under some segments. For example, you may say, oh, I am great with illustration. Let me just put all my illustrations under one place. And you can do it virtually. There are many free sites available for you, which are available for the students. Get everything together and that becomes a portfolio. Yes, if you have great mentorship at your schools, you can create a good, well-fledged portfolio. So for all design programs and film and animation programs, we do want to have a portfolio so that we can get a sense of where you're coming from, whether what exactly you require for us to support you in your admission. So there's no entrance test. We used to have an entrance test, but then we realized in at least in mass communication, there are so many bright students who actually many times may not qualify if I have a entrance exam per se. So it's not an ego trip that as a university we want to do. What as a university I want to do? I want, if there are 36 of the students out here, I just saw the number. So whatever 30 students are there, I want everybody to do mass communication and succeed. That's the only thing which I'll have it. To make it succeed, that's why the universities are there. We're not here just to polish you. We are here to build your careers. So that's a simple process of admission. And the starting block is go on the website, go on the admission site, check out on the website of JLU where you have mass communication faculty reflected, select the course and just apply.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. And I think it's very important for all the students to also note down what sir said is, when we're talking about something like portfolio, it's a compilation of everything creative you've done, because a lot of time we're seeing students have this misconception that only their best work or only their best artwork has to go in the portfolio, right? In fact, I remember, once we were working with the student and the student had a, huge collection of work and, collage work. And she ended up putting a lot of stuff which she's done from the younger age till today, right? Till she was in grade 11, 12. And we happened to ask, but why do you need to put something which you drew in, say, a class 5th and 6th? She says, that's my story. I want to tell it my way. And I want to not just show how good a painter I am right now, but I want to show how passionate I am about creativity, that I've compiled it, I have preserved it. And more than that, I want to show my journey. I want to show how I've grown, how things have changed for me. And that was inspiring, because a lot of times students have this misconception, oh, I'll make my best painting and put it in my portfolio. But remember, it's your story, it's your creativity, it's your imagination. You tell it to the world, you tell it to the admission committee the way you want to tell it.
Absolutely correct. Sana, you very well said. And I think it's so wonderfully put and a great example to tell all the students who are out here. Because if we were only looking for perfection and not forgetting the real essence of a story, then as humans, we would never have evolved to the stage that we are in. If they had not drawn those roughest sketches on the walls of the cave, right? Were they concerned about, oh, my line has to be perfect? No. I mean, we all know, like Sana rightly said it, we all have stories. We have kids who draw amazingly well. I mean, What do I say? So absolutely correct. I just compile everything, be interested, and tell your story the way it's your story, not my story. If I'm in an interview and if somebody's interviewing me, it's my story. I have to tell my stories rather than somebody else pushing their stories onto me. So yeah, that's a great way of explaining actually.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. Now, we all know, and we've been talking about how the entire domain of mass media journalism is application based, right? Even as a degree, like you very rightly said, it makes more sense when it's application oriented than just theoretical, right? So, I want you to throw some light on how it is critical to have practice based media production facilities, and how's the university infrastructure and facilities going to help the students as a part of their education journey in the university.
Yeah, it's a very important aspect of it, and I said it earlier as well. uh, just to kind of throw in this particular perspective of practice based. So Faculty of Journalism and Creative Studies right now is in the top 15 mass communication institutions in the country, and this has been consistently been assessed by independent bodies, by major magazines like India Today and all that. They have all been talking about it, and one of the key things that they have always kind of appreciated when it comes to those rankings and ratings is they have said that as JLU, we have one of the finest media production facilities at the campus. And there are about 20,000 square feet of absolute sheer pleasure, where students come, they create media assets, and it's free. It's open to all the media communication students, mass communication students. It has a theater, a huge theater where students are able to preview their films, showcase their works. It has a huge shooting space where you can shoot not only news, but also theater itself. You can have drama, fiction also being created there. You have edit suite, there are almost 8 edit suites where the latest software, cloud-based software of designing everything is placed. You have photography studios out there. You have, production rooms out there. So, and you also have a very, very good, what I can say, audio production facilities, audio studio. I mean, it's something which we are very happy and very proud of it. And that's the reason students are able to deploy a lot of learnings which they do in the class in form of creation, in form of production. So of course, as mass communication, it is imperative that students are able to also practice what they're learning. In my university, what we do is we have various media platforms. One of them is called Comma, which is a quarterly news magazine, actually, which the students are able to bring it out. And it's so amazing to see these students bringing out. And I always say in a lighter vein within my own university with a set of students, I said, this is actually the New Yorker magazine in India. They do so very well when it comes to those writing. You have a television studio being run by the students, actually, which is called Lakecity Live. You have an audio and a digital radio station run by students, again, called Lakecity Voice. And there's a podcast, Lakecity Buzz, which is about to start. Now, these are very important because the students not only study theory, they study the entire nuances of mass communication and how the careers can be shaped up, but they're also able to get these learnings as a part of their practice in these particular studios. So, Sana, if you have that particular link with you for that film, if you want to show it to them, we can quickly see it about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. I believe.
Yes, I was going to mention that there's a lovely video we saw, and we want our audience to see that. Kushi, can you please share the video? You can share your screen.
Sure, ma'am, just a second.
Yeah, make sure you share the audio as well so that.
Yeah.
Miss Koshi has stopped screen share.
Thank you so much, Kushi. And I would want to mention that I've been fortunate enough to visit the campus of Jagran Lakecity University, and believe me, students, it's just lovely, and it's a place you would want to be in. But sir, next time I'm there, I'll make sure I visit the Department of Journalism and
Yes.
Creative Studies, because the infrastructure looks just amazing.
You must, Sana.
Great, sure.
In fact, Sana, I just wanted to say one more thing out here. Many of the, and this was obviously just a representative, small video for everybody to see. Good part is because we have this theory and this practice going together. Many of the students, and this is something that I'm very happy every time I'm speaking about it. These students are not just about, say, undergraduate. They're not just about finishing their degrees and moving on. They actually have a purpose. So this year, when the placements were happening, I'm so happy to see this. So many students actually went into the top-notch brands of journalism as well. So somebody went to Times of India, somebody went to Bloomberg, somebody went to Amar Ujala. So people are going, somebody went to The Wire itself. So a point is that the students, whether they are from advertising or from journalism or filmmaking, they need to be going to organizations which are really appreciated by the world. If you go in those organizations, then your careers are actually set. So it's not just about a degree that you finish it off, but also keep a purpose that this is where I want to be. And if you want to be there and you work hard, I'm sure that situations like this, the facilities like this, mentors like this, you will be able to, actually walk on the path which takes you to those particular careers.
Great, absolutely. There's been a question in the chat box, and I know how we've been talking about how mass media and communication could be related to areas like design and, even game development and fashion, advertising. So somebody from the audience wants to know, how could mass media and communication could be related to business, and where do these two merge and collaborate?
Absolutely. So it's a very, very good question, and I really appreciate whoever has asked me that question. I have many students who actually have traditional businesses at their places, and I'm just illustrating what your question was. So many of them actually who have joined the mass communication program have their traditional businesses which their families were running. And the first thing which they said that, and I asked them, why do you want to join mass communication? Their idea was, they said, yeah, even my father asked me this, that you have a business to take care of it. What are you going to do in mass communication or communication? But my answer to that is, look, communication is what I call it as a career agnostic discipline or the career. It's not whether you're a business person or you're a psychologist, Visana, you are, or you are a management person or you're a lawyer. Everybody needs a great skill when it comes to mass communication. Now, that is purely basis the communication. If you come back to the business part of it, look at the way the businesses in the world are changing. Look at the way the managements of the world are changing, the best corporates that you see. Do you think when Unilever works, do you think they only produce a soap like Dove? No. They produce a soap like Dove, but they build it up as a brand and communication around it, which makes it the #1 selling brand in the world. Do you think Coca-Cola, the ingredient, the production part of it is most unique? Yes, it would be unique. But what makes Coca-Cola the iconic drink for the world, beverage or the world, is its communication abilities. It's what you call construct of brand building around Coca-Cola. So if you see Apple, of course the phone would be good. Of course the world of Apple will be very good. But what makes Apple so unique to everybody is this communication and brand building around it. So what mass communication does, if you want to be in the space of business, is it gives you great ability to build up your own story, the business story as we call it. When you go to the bank and you say, you know what, I have one plant and I want to expand it to another plant. I'm a business person and I need loans. I need some venture capitalists to walk in. What do the venture capitalists want? They want your strong fundamentals, the great financial fundamentals that you have it, but they also want what we call as intangibles. They want the brand story. They want the promise of what this brand and what this company is going to be. So I think mass communication, and if you see the biggest brands in the world have budgets in marketing and communications as big as many of the GDPs of the world. Coca-Cola's marketing and brand budget is equal to many of the GDPs of smallest countries of the world. You can imagine what mass communication and communication in general can do for the business as well. So I think it's a great way of it. And also please understand, by doing mass communication, you're not only going to get into a job, you can actually get into creative entrepreneurship. We are, in fact, in the undergraduate, we have a course in the third year, which is called creative entrepreneurship. So you can pick up that when you study, you know how to build up a business around creative areas. And creative areas business is what? Almost about $90 billion industry in the world. And I'm talking about 3-4 years back. So that's how the business and mass communication connects.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. And we have a follow-up question where Jonna is asking that you want to know more about game development and how somebody is interested in the field could relate it to mass comm.
So one of the things, game development, again, I'll put it this way. Game development is what? On one side, there's a technology platforms that you build with. You have that, but game build up or game development per se also involves a storytelling. Isn't it true? Any game that you pick up, whether you pick up on a phone or you pick up on your laptops, any game you pick up, there is a story behind it. What does a game require? Let's just dissect it quickly in 30 seconds, actually. What does a game require? And I'm talking of video games right now, right? It requires a place, right? It requires a place. For example, a game is situated in Africa. You'll see the visuals on that particular game. It is happening in India. It is happening in a smaller town. It is happening in a jungle, wherever. It is happening on a war front. It is happening on a FIFA, 23, which is the latest game, which is happening on the football field in some place. So there's a place which is required. Second part is very important in building up the game. Like, for example, in any story is the character. Who is the character? What are you trying to become? Do you want to become an ex-person like this? And then you have a character build up, which means you have a rough hair, you have a long hair, you have short hair, you have you have a limbs which are very long, whatever you want to build up as a character. So there's a character building and a person itself. Third part is there is always a conflict in a game. Conflict would mean, and this is again very true to story as well. Conflict would mean, is a person, the hero or the heroine of that particular game, trying to overcome some obstacles, some challenges. It could be a 3D, 4D, real immersive game, or it could be a 2D game, flash game itself. So there is obviously a conflict that you build up. And the last part is resolution part of it, which again means that whether you win the game or you lose the game. So these are all elements of storytelling. So imagine if you do not have the story in your head, if you cannot build up the characters, if you cannot build up the nuances of those characters, what would the technology do? Technology is bland. Technology is an enabler, but the human mind is where the creativity starts happening. If you do mass communication, and of course, then in that case, what you do is you also do say Bachelor of Design game design itself, which by the time you guys would graduate from class 12, maybe by next year, you as a university will also have a game design, Bachelor of Design in game build-up. There you do some basics, as well as you are also able to get your creativity, then create a game. Game build-up and game development is all about imagination. What is that you want to do? If you can imagine it and you have technology to support it, you will be able to do it. But yes, of course, when you're building up the game, you need to be good with small illustrations as well. You need to have that imagination to create characters out of nowhere. And that is what you do. And that's what Sana was saying. I have a son who's just come in class 10th now, but even his class 5th, 4th, 3rd, he had the entire set of rough doodles, comics being created. Every child has it, by the way. And today, when I look at them, he had already created in his own head, a different kind of a Batman, which I haven't seen it in my life. But that's how the kids are. That's what the God has done with our brains. So game design is very, very closely a part of mass communication today. Very, very interestingly so. And there's a degree which is called Bachelor of Design in Game Development or Game Design. You need to pursue that if you're interested in gaming. And it's part of a mass communication. At least with us, it's the next year, this particular degree with I don't know if you know about them. The biggest, platforms of game design are going to join us, and we're going to launch that particular degree as well. So maybe that's a story we'll tell you next year.
For sure, sir. We look forward to that. Great. If you could spend a couple of minutes talking about how when the students are pursuing this course at JLU, what opportunities do they get to collaborate with the faculty into whether it's research work or production, and how much is and how is the faculty involved to and how can they work together in different projects?
Uh, uh, to be honest, Anna, I can again talk about myself with the faculty that I come from. It's a very, I mean, if I may use the word, a very chilled out ecosystem for us. We believe very firmly as a university, and I believe personally as a person who's part of this entire thing, is that if a student or a learner is not happy about what they're doing, I don't think they can ever succeed. This is true for any discipline for that matter. Now, if that is the premise on which we work, then it is imperative for the members of the faculty to interact with the students very closely, whether you're in the first year or you're in the doctoral program or you're in the PG or the DUG program. You need to interact with them. So I have the best conversations which happen with the students when I'm not in class. Of course, in the class, you're teaching and doing many things. But my best conversations with the ideations happened in the corridors, in the small, we have a coffee shop where we have it. There's a mess where we sit down and have it. And there's Sana, you have seen it's a beautiful garden landscapes where we sit down and under the tree, we have had the best conversation. This is only to illustrate that the faculty members are very open to talking and speaking, to conversing with the students, because ideas can come from anywhere. You don't require a one particular day, one point of time when the idea came. Idea can come anywhere. So we're able to have a great conversation going with the students. Of course, research is very important for any discipline as of now in the world of today. In media and mass communication as well, research is absolutely important. So what we do is, in the year one itself of our UG program, this is just to illustrate what I'm saying, we have a course which is called academic writing. Now, many of the people would think, why are you doing academic writing? Because if you're good in academic writing, believe me, even if the first semester undergraduate, you'll be a winner when you reach the class, when you reach the year 3 or 2, because you'll be able to write all those research elements very well. And I think it is imperative for students to know that. And that's why they are different from some other students who may not know about academic writing. There are many micro projects that we do, the faculty does on research. They collaborate, and we call that as a research associates actually. So we give the role of these research associates to the students who can collaborate with the faculty on any of the areas of interest that they want to do. And not only that, they write papers in a very smaller way, and they present in the conferences. Many times this year itself, we had almost about 20-25 students at different locations in India. They went down and presented their researches in whichever way in the student conferences, whether it is design, journalism, or advertising, whichever way you may be coming from. And they win many awards, by the way. So that's how we work with the students in the space of research and collaboration.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. I think a lot of people in the audience would want to get, some way to reach out, either a common admission helpline number or an email ID for JLU. We can share it towards the end. And before we wind up the session, so what would your advice be? And
These
what
are
would your
to
advice
everyone, https://JLU.
for what would your advice be for the students who are wanting to start their profession or their journey or their education in the field of mass communication and journalism?
One of the things is obviously, as I said right in the beginning, you need to be very aware of that you want to be in this space. Many times we often see that, for that matter, any discipline, we get into a degree program and we do not even know why we want to do this. Yes, at the stage that all of you are in, which is 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, many times we are all confused. I was confused big time. I never knew what exactly I wanted to do at that point of time. There are a few things which I want to do. Many things I achieved, but many things I did not go on that pathway. So I think it is very important for you to be, as much as possible, be clear what you're getting into, which means building up a career in communications space. That's number one, which is the important part. If you're very clear of it and you enjoy it, believe me, you'll be successful. And I'm giving you my word on it. If you love it, if you enjoy it, you'll be successful. Many times people do not understand the careers. And a careers means You can be a top-notch journalist. You can be a filmmaker. You can be a chief designer. Go on the net yourself and know which are the top-notch positions and jobs in the world of today. And you go on the World Economic Forum and you'll see either it would be in technology or medical sciences, or it would be in communication. And these are media spaces, which we call it, media communication spaces. So these are the three big areas where the largest number of jobs are growing. So obviously, your curiosity, your sense of imagination, and the sense of creativity that you talked about, your purpose of what you want to get into, I think they are good enough for you to get into this particular space and grow very, very well. Yes, you need to be good with language. You need to read a lot. And when I say read a lot, doesn't mean textbook. It means any good book that you want to read. You want to read it in Hindi, you read it in Hindi. You want to read in Marathi, you do it in Marathi. You want to read in Punjabi, do it in Punjabi or English. But ideally speaking, we always encourage students who are bilingual. You could be good in English as well as in Hindi. So our university is an English medium university, but journalism is the only space where we encourage even Hindi as well. And we have many students who are very good in English, extremely good in Hindi, because language in our country, especially in India, is very big. By the way, we have this year onwards, we have started nudging our students to also learn a couple of UN languages, which is Spanish, French, and German as well. And they're doing that. They're doing that because globally now, communication industry is globally connected now. So they should be willing and they should be prepared if a job and an opportunity comes up globally. One more thing, Sana, before we close on this is, we work very closely with Google News and with data leads. So we have a Center for Data and New Media. And in fact, about 10 days back, about 20 students, we have given a major project to them. It is per month is about 1.5 lakh rupees are being paid to not every student, to the group of students. And it is about, these students are driving media literacy campaign across central India. Now, we don't have a faculty who's driving that. It is the students who are driving it, and they are in the second and third years of undergraduate program. Now, imagine what it would do to their profiles and portfolios. When they graduate, they would write on their CVs that they have led Google News and what we call as a Fakshala central hub in India. And there's nobody in the world who will not hire them. So that is the way that we work closely with and we work with Media Entertainment Skill Council, which is again very important for animation and filmmaking. And we work with UNICEF very closely on nutrition, because we feel, as I said it right in the beginning, communication students are not just building up a career, they're making and impacting the world as well. So nutrition is an important area. Women and child development is an important area. The moment you start using your skills degree for impacting the world, your glory would go, your salaries would grow, your positions would grow. That's a simple, equation that you should work with. I was in fact, Sana, right now I'm in Turkey. And, I was about 2 days back, I was interacting with a group of students in a school, actually, interestingly, and they were class 8th and 9th students, Sana. And I was amazed to find, of course, they were language issues. They speak a lot Turkish out here. But I was amazed to see the level of questioning, the things that they were asking about communication. I said, wow, this is an amazing, amazing world that, these kids are in. So all kudos to their ingenuity and imagination.
Great. Yes, and that also is could be one takeaway for everybody, because we see students when they're in 8th, 9th, they're very curious, and slowly when you grow up, you feel, oh, is it a stupid question? There's no question like a stupid question, right?
Absolutely.
So great. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure listening to you. It was insightful. In fact, to be very frank, journalism was what I wanted to do after psychology. So when I filled my college forms, I wrote journalism as one of the preferences. But so this has been really insightful for me personally as well. And I'm sure everybody in the audience has got great takeaways, whether you're a student looking to pursue journalism or you're an undergrad student wanting to look at journalism options for postgrad, or you're someone who's good at languages and communication skills, or maybe like sir said, you're just a good storyteller. This could be your career to explore, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Over to you, Tanishta.
Yes, thank you, Sana. Thank you. Again, yes, it was definitely a very insightful session. And thank you, Professor Diwakar, that we learned a lot. We got to know about so much about journalism and mass communication, what are the new things that are coming up. So thank you so much for this insightful webinar.
Thank you so much for having me, all of you. And I look forward to more of such sessions whenever we get a chance. And
Definitely, sir.
really grateful to all the people who are there. I believe it would be about what 6:30 or 7 o'clock, I think, somewhere around.
Yeah.
And people sticking to those laptops and being a part of it. So thank you so much for listening to me, and hope to see you soon, all of you. Bye-bye.
For sure, sir. Thank you again. Mr.
And-
Danish, you would get the recording online. So you will find it on the Mindler YouTube page. So you'll get it there.
I would also like to thank Sana
Just
for moderating this webinar for us. And yeah, Arshi, please go on.
Sana, I think Akshara has a question. She's raised her hand. Should I allow her to ask?
Yes.
I think she wants to talk rather than chat. So
Yes, yes.
Sir, with your permission, sure.
Of course,
Yes,
of
sir.
course, yes.
Yes, Arshi, go ahead.
Akshara, I've made you, I've allowed you to speak. So if you have any queries, please reach out and you can ask us right now.
Great. It was a pleasure, Jaswinder. Thank you so much for your feedback.
Akshara says it was a mistake. Akshara says it was a mistake. It was a very cute mistake. Holding it back.
You could
Thank
still have used the opportunity, but I'm sure we've covered a lot about mass comm. All questions were answered. Great. And any of you, for anything, you can reach out to us. Even if you want to reach out to the university, like Sir said, if you reach out to us, we'll make sure we connect you to the right people. So all your questions are answered. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Tanishta, and thank you, Arshi and Kushi as well for managing, handling, and answering so many questions in the chat as well.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Yes.
great evening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you so much for moderating this session for us and answering such good questions. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.